let's continue forest, society and colonialism. In today's class, let's start with the rise of commercial forestry. Commercial forestry. The British were worried that the use of forest by the local people and reckless felling of trees by the traders would destroy forest and hence invited German expert Dietrich Brandis as first Inspector General of Forest in India. So the British were worried that the use of forest by the local people and the reckless fellings of trees by the traders would destroy the forest. So they have invited a German expert, Dietrich Brandis, a first Inspector General of Forest in India. Brandis realized that a proper system has to be introduced to manage the forest and people had to be trained in science of conservation. Brandis set up the Indian Forest Service in 1864 and helped formulate the Indian Forest Act of 1865. The Imperial Forest Research Institute was set up in Dehradun in 1906. Scientific forestry was taught there. In the scientific forestry system, forests with different kinds of trees were replaced by the plantation. So in the scientific forest system, what they have did, they have with the different kinds of trees were replaced by the plantations, and forest management plans were made by the forest officials. They planned how much of the forest had to be cut and how much had to be replanted. So I've said you already, the scientific forestry encouraged plantation agriculture. The Forest Act of 1865 was amended twice in 1878 and 1927. The Forest Act divided forest, reserved forest, protected forest and village forest. So, the 1878 Act divided forest into three categories: reserved, protected and village forest. Yes, reserved forest. These were the best forest villages could not enter this forest. Protected forest and village forest, villages could take wood for fuel and house building from here. The best forests were called reserved forest. Forest rules and cultivation. Shifting cultivation or swidden agriculture was the agricultural practice in many parts of Asia, Africa and South America. The colonial foresters did not favor the system as it made it difficult for the government to calculate taxes. In addition, the forest officials saw in it the danger of fire and also that no trees could grow on this kind of land. Yes, so the forest management had a great impact on shifting cultivators. So the shifting cultivation parts of the forest are cut and burned in rotation. They felt that such land could not be used for growing trees for the railway timber and was dangerous while being burnt and it could start a forest fire. And this types of cultivation also made difficult for the government to calculate taxes. Leaves of the forest. People and the nearby villages depended upon the forest. Their various needs of fuel, fodder and even food were dependent on forests. As these people were not allowed to use forest, their life became difficult. Yes, this is collecting mahua from the forest. The villagers will wake up and go to the forest to collect the mahua flowers which have fallen on the forest floor. And mahua trees are precious and mahua flowers can be eaten or used to make alcohol. The seeds can be used to make oil. Hunting and forest law. The forest laws stopped the villagers from hunting in the forest, but encouraged hunting as a big sport. They felt that the wild animals were savage, wild, and primitive, just like the Indian society, and that it was a duty to civilize them. Yes, this one. The men are carrying grain in basket from the threshing fields. Men carry the basket slung on a pole across their shoulders, while women carry their baskets on their heads. New trade and new employment. Yes. New opportunities opened in trade as the forest department took control of the forest. Example, the Mundurucu people of the Brazilian Amazon, with the colonial influence, trade was completely regulated by the government. Many large European trading firms were given the sole rights to trade in forest products as a of a particular area. Many pastoral communities lost their means of livelihoods. New opportunities of work did not always mean improved well-being for the people. Yes. In the first one, the firms trading in the timber product were given the sole trading rights to the trader in the forest. Yes, for the product of particular area. And they made huge profit and became richer. The entire timber was a forest trade which passed on to them. They became powerful and began to cut down trees indiscriminately. And the pastoralist communities were also affected by the changes in the forest management because the traditional customary grazing rights were taken away and their entry into the forest was restricted. Passes were issued to them which had details of their entry and exit into and out of the forest. And of course, the some pastoralists even had to change their lifestyle, live pastoralism, and had to work in mines, plantation, and factories. Some were branded as the criminal tribes. Yes, so far we have discussed about the rise of commercial forestry, how were the lives of the people affected, and the next one we have discussed about how did the forest rules affected cultivation, and the last one we have discussed about the new trade and new employment and new services. Thank you, students.